and welcome to episode 4 of the Kickin' It Creative podcast, where we geek out about board games, the mechanisms behind them, and the people who create them. And I am so pumped to be here today with one of my favorite people who create them, Cole Wehrle. You all probably know him well from being the designer of Root, Oath, Arcs, Pax Pamir, so many games. How's it going, Cole?
I'm doing real well, Candace. I am so happy to be on this channel. It's amazing. Congratulations on starting it off.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it has been kind of a slow rolling. Like I said back in December when I posted the first YouTube video, I'm like, this is still like soft launch of Kickin' It Creative. But I would say by the end of February, we'll be full on. And this podcast is on a regular schedule. And so this is the first thing that I feel like is kind of fully turned on, aside from the music. I'm still figuring out music, but I'm really stoked to be doing this. I always love talking to you, and you have some crazy updates in your world.
Yeah, these are busy times. You know, I went right from finishing kind of two huge projects, the Molly House reprint and New Foundations, to starting a whole new big project, which is Buried Giant Studios.
Yes.
Thankfully, it has been a blast. I mean, it's been a ton of work, but I'm just surrounded by like some of my favorite people that I just adore working with. And it has been a real joy to kind of punch the clock every day with them and get this new studio up and running.
Amazing. Yeah, I was on your Buried Giant Studios website and I'm like, oh, the art already grabs me. And yeah, and you might have said this in your post of like kind of transitioning out of leaders and starting this new company, but where did the name come from?
Oh, well, I like names that have lots of different meanings, and Buried Giant is no different than that. We wanted a name when we were setting out to have a name. We wanted something that felt like it had been there for a long time. We wanted the name to feel like you were introducing kind of an old friend. And just the image of a buried giant was so provocative. And I loved the idea of games themselves as these big buried giant, because you look at a little box of game pieces,
sure,
and there's this whole world. There's all these articles that can be written. There's all these memories, all these experiences that are just kind of just beneath the surface. And so we just kind of like that as our totem, as our kind of operating metaphor.
Yeah, I love that. Super, super cool. So I know you guys are going to continue working on ARCs content, but can you share anything about like what else is coming down the pike? And I also want to hear about Wehrlegig, any updates there too, because like I love those games.
So Buried Giant, as part of the separation from Leader, we were able to purchase Oath and Arcs from Leader. So we will be not only will we be taking control of the remaining stock, we will be handling all the reprints, all the expansions. And this is a really exciting time for us because the new battery of material that we worked on for Oath is really special, and it's going to press basically right now. I cannot wait for people to play it. And we have a whole host of things planned for Arcs. Arcs will be our big spring crowdfunding campaign. And then once those little lines get moving, we get to start working on new stuff. And I have been working on a bunch of new games. Now, I always say I've been working on a bunch of new games, which is always true, but the actual like nitty gritty work of completing these games takes years and years.
Yeah.
So we have a full slate of releases for the next couple of years already planned, but we will eventually be doing totally new IPs. The stuff that Buried Giant is going to work on is always going to be in a similar kind of design style that if you like Oath and Arcs, you'll be very familiar with it. We love expressive gameplay, emergent partnerships, emergent narratives, and real player-centered storytelling. And if that sounds intriguing to you, if you want games that are designed to reward a lot of repeat play and study, and you love the illustrations of Kyle Farron, then we are the company for you.
I so stoked about this. Also, like, just more Oath content is exciting because I feel like of all of your games, I feel like Oath is the one that I've explored the least. And I've been like really like intrigued by it and wanting to just kind of delve in, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. So I love any excuse to kind of bust that one out on the table and start playing it more, you know?
Yeah, you'll have a lot of good reasons to explore it soon. And then as part of this, Wehrlegig is growing and changing too. So Drew and I are keeping it as an independent imprint, but it's an imprint within Buried Giant. Now, what this means, it sounds a little academic, framed that way, but what it means is that, Drew and I have been running Wehrlegig as a 2-person shop for as long as it's existed. And now we get to tie it into some of the stronger logistical support and also creative support elements that I enjoyed when I was at Leader. And so Wehrlegig gets to grow too. The identity of those games is going to be, basically preserved, but we get to increase the pace of our releases just a little bit. I mean, I'll give a small concrete example. Yeah. Usually Drew has to wait to talk to me about work stuff until the evenings or the weekends. We have this like core rule, which is like from 9 to 5, I'm punching the clock for Patrick. I'm not doing any Wehrlegig work. And then in the evening, if I have time, I'm going to work on it. Or on the weekend, I'm going to do most of my Wehrlegig work. And that wall is gone now.
Yeah.
So Drew and I have already felt ourselves like accelerating and starting to work on some really new and exciting history projects.
That's awesome. And honestly, like, I feel special that my big sort of career changes like sort of aligned with yours. And I feel like 2026 is just going to be a really exciting year to see, new chapters for lots of people. So
it feels really good to be busy.
That's cool. Yeah. And I've actually, like, last year when I was still working full-time with BGG, I started a newsletter called Squawk N Roll. And it's a newsletter where I kind of use it as an opportunity to talk about other games I'm playing that, I'm trying not to make these podcast episodes 3 hours long. So I use it as a way to talk about other games that I'm playing that maybe I don't mention on the podcast or anywhere else. And I often like to share music recommendations. Like, I'm using that to say, like, oh my gosh, like, not only like here are some board games that are capturing my brain space, but like also this music, this album, these tracks or whatever. So, and my friends have a joke about like kind of calling me like a parrot brain. So that's why the Squawk and Roll kind of came from. But I'm saying the same thing, like within Kicking It Creative, even though Squawk and Roll came first, Squawk and Roll is kind of like an imprint within, and it's like all one world. So that's cool that like Wehrlegig is that now with Buried Giant. Sick. Okay.
I mean, all these things have always been so connected, and it's made the transition really seamless. Like, for example, Buried Giant will be at Gen Con this year because Wehrlegig was going to be at Gen Con. So that even though we're, Buried Giant is, in some respects, it's a brand new company, but we're building it we're building it like right on top of Wehrlegig. So it's working very seamlessly.
That's so cool. I'm so excited for you guys. It's gonna be good. Also, something kind of crazy that's gonna like blow your mind a little bit, possibly, or maybe people out there. But next month, February, is my birthday, and I'm using it as an opportunity for some like epic gaming that I've been wanting to do forever. And listen to this. Make sure you're sitting there, Cole.
Okay.
I have not finished a campaign of Arcs yet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is insane because I played that game like more than 10 times before it like even really started hitting the streets. And I started a campaign like whenever it came out right before Gen Con. Was that just last year?
The year before last. But
Okay. Right before it came out, I started a campaign, and then just like with some friends, and we just like life got busy, travel, people get married. And so I'm like, and it's just something we talk about all the time. Or like, oh, we got to finish that, or we got to start a new one. Yeah. And so I think I have 3 sessions scheduled with a couple of friends of mine to like actually play an Arcs campaign. So
let's go, Candace. That's great.
I know.
So I'm like, can I give you 2 pieces of advice?
Yes, please.
Okay. Or I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice. This is advice for all campaign players.
Okay.
So first of all, it is super worthwhile to like go through the campaign rules. You can use the little like aid sheet to make sure everybody really understands how the Imperial ships work, because the campaign rules, there are not that many extra rules, but it's really important players understand like how it's going to be different.
Yeah.
So that's thing one. Thing two is in between each act and really before each game, everybody should take a moment to talk about their plot line and how they're scoring.
Cool.
And to just walk through it. And if you have like powers that interact in interesting ways, just talk about it. And if you have a rules question, do it then. Because what will happen is if players jump into the game too quickly and they're new at the campaign, they'll get caught on a weird thing. And Arcs is so tempo sensitive that you really just talk about it at the beginning. Because you can answer almost all the rules questions in a game of Arcs before it starts. And the final thing, which is not really a piece of advice, but just a thing to say, I am so excited for you to play through Act 2 and Act 3 because Act 3 is the best one.
Oh, cool.
All the cool stuff happens at the very end. Awesome. And so I'm delighted to hear that you're going to explore it. That's wonderful.
Awesome.
And happy early birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, and I will for sure be reporting back either on the podcast or we might do a video or something to share the stories of our campaign for sure.
Oh, good.
So, So anyway, that's something I'm looking forward to. And I'm also going to be playing Fire in the Lake for the first time next month. So, go February 2026.
That's powerful gaming.
Love it. I was just out in Ohio and Indiana recently for some winter weather, and the trip was mainly like booked around going to Cincinnati for a little private trick-taking gathering called TJ, or we'll say T-Pound, because I think when they first started doing it, it was like T5, then it was T6, and now we're up to TJ, and this is something that James Nathan from CMYK, he hosts it with just a small group, and it's super fun. I went 2 years ago. Last year I was sick, couldn't make it out there. So that was really, really cool. And I'm going to be recording with Taylor Reiner. Now Taylor's got like a bunch of trick-taking games that that are out in the wild, and he has a channel where he focuses on those. So I'm excited about that. But this, today, I at some point got back into a game, which I'm not going to mention right now. And it made me think about multi-use cards in board games and how much I love them and the different choices that players have and that the designers make when they're, choosing to have this mechanism in games with their with the cards. And I don't know why, but I was just I feel like I want to talk to you about multi-use cards and games and just hear about which kind of games resonate with you that have multi-use cards. So today we're going to be talking about the magic of multi-use cards in board games.
Yeah, probably in some respects one of the most important mechanical frameworks. It's not really a mechanism. It's a way of approaching how you're using components. Probably one of the most critical ones that I use in my own design practice. And so I'm very excited to get into this. And when I was gathering up games that I really admired that have multi-use cards, I was struck by how different they are and how even the definition of multi-use is very slippery and strange.
Yeah. Cool. Well, before we get into talking about awesome games with multi-use cards, I'd love to hear what you've been playing lately, Cole. So let's jump into fresh plays.
Oh my gosh, I've been playing. My kids right now they were home for Christmas break, and then it got extended because of both some of the protesting and the ICE action in the Twin Cities and the general strike, and then also just because of the weather. And so all these things kind of work together to give my kids the fabled third week of winter break. And one of the things that we did was we filled it with games. So awesome. I have 2 sons and a daughter, and there are 12, 10, and 6. We all love playing games. And the older 2 are really now of the age that they can kind of play anything. Once you get to 10, you can play any game. Like we've played
Yeah.
18xx games together.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
you're not going to be good at all those games, but just in terms of like rules comprehension. My middle son, Auden, one of the big things that we celebrated over winter break was he beat Silk Song and Hollow Knight. And so like this is a kid who loves games.
Yeah.
So we played, get this, and this is the smallest bit of like proud papa bragging. We played Indonesia.
Oh, snap.
And they loved it. And they loved it. They couldn't really understand the strategy. But then again, I cannot really understand good strategy in Indonesia. I am quite bad at that game. But the new edition came with Yannick's gorgeous art, which, by the way, the person who helped redo the graphic design for that game also was my graphic designer on John Company. And so
wow,
it's great to see him like jumping on more Splatter projects. And I got in the mail, I put it on the table, and I was like, oh, this is gorgeous. They did such a good job clarifying things. And then, my oldest came to me and said, oh, boats, map, cool. Like, what is this he calls them tycoon games. Is this a tycoon game?
Okay. Yeah,
I said, yeah, it's a tycoon game. And I looked at the rules and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like Indonesia is so simple. And he's like, well, how do you play it? And so I just taught him. And then his kid brother came up to him and said like, oh, can I also play this game? And then pretty soon we were just playing Indonesia.
Amazing.
And we had a great time doing it. It was a lot of fun. And the kids like want to play more. In fact, we've been playing some in Indonesia. We played some Root over winter break. We actually, and then I'm going to do one deep cut because I'm often trotting out the strange ones. Yeah. I bought this game called Sceptre 1027 AD, which is a 4-player chess variant where you use terrain tiles to build a chessboard that has terrain. And my kids are both chess crazy, or all three of them are chess crazy, but the youngest can't quite play yet.
Yeah.
And I brought it home. And usually when I bring home a game, it has no impact. Like there are games coming out of our ears in this house. They're everywhere. And so if like, oh, dad came home with a game, that's just like, I might as well have brought in the mail. And oftentimes, oftentimes it's the same thing. But I had Sceptre, and it's got this kind of like cool box. It must have been from the 80s or maybe early 90s. It has this kind of cool box. And they're like, oh, what's Sceptre? And I open it up, and it has a big terrain tile that has a chessboard overlaid on it. I said, oh, you can use this to play chess with terrain. And my oldest son, Owen, grabbed it from me and then ran out to the living room and started building a giant chess map. And then he was reading all the rules about like how the different chess pieces can move in the terrain, and was just fully in. I think they were like of the perfect age, and they played it all day yesterday. It was great.
So cool. Okay, well, first of all, Indonesia, I just got the new version. And it is one splatter game. Well, I'm sure there are lots of splatter games I've never played because I know they have a bunch that you can't even get to. But I ordered the new version and I got it just before I headed out to Ohio. And I was very blown away as well by the production of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is definitely the most like high quality production splatter game that I've seen so far. Like the components, the art. I haven't even like cracked into the rules yet. But I'm hoping to play that one this week. So it's awesome to hear that you got it too, and your kids are into it. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's great. It has like some of the best merger rules of like any game. It's really incredible.
Okay, just as a quick aside, do you remember? Okay, so there was this one year I bumped into you and Drew walking around Essen, and you showed me this very strange game, and where something with you're cutting off your finger, and it's in like a cardboard box. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but I ended up picking it up just because you guys were like, oh my gosh, this game is wild and weird and silly or whatever, and I ended up taking it with me on this trip. And I still haven't played it because we ended up in a situation where we had too many players, but I was like, I just want to watch you guys play. And so it was hilarious. Like you're rolling these 3 dice, and the dice they're custom dice. They have symbols on them. Like one's like a machete or a hatchet or something. And it's almost like a Jungle Speed thing where if you see a single die that doesn't match the number of icons and also doesn't match the symbol of the other dice, you want to be like first to like slap your hand on it. And if you miss out, you like lose a finger. And meanwhile, like one of your hands is always like on the table. And so you can only move one of your hands. The other one's keeping track of how many fingers you have left. And it's just insane because then when you get down to one finger, you have to flip this wooden finger token like a coin and see if you are still in or if you survive. And one of my friends who was playing with us, he had to flip, like he was down to one finger so long. And every time he flipped that wooden finger, it would be like good. We're just like, oh my gosh, you're like never gonna die at this game.
It's a scream, and it's a great example of like couple simple rules, good conceit, and then it just delivers. It delivers and delivers.
Yeah, and it's in this little like cardboard box. Oh, I can't think of the name. It's like you Sobe or you.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Well, I will add it in the show notes. I'll look it up and add it in the show notes because but I just thought that was funny. So again, I still haven't played it, but I got to see it played, which was equally fun.
And it fits my like golden rule of Essen, which I think has now become like my golden rule of all game conventions, which is that I try to not buy things at game conventions that I know I will be able to buy at a store within like 6 months.
Yeah.
And instead, the only thing I'm looking for at conventions are things I've like never seen, never heard of, may never see again.
Right. I like that. Another game I took with me on this trip is a game called Bomb 5. And this is a game from Madigo, and it's designed by Fabrice Pouleo. I don't even know. It has a 2026 release date. I know I got an early copy from Madigo as a review copy. When I was meeting with my friend who works for Madigo, we played a couple turns, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I like the production of it because it comes in this little box with little tiles, but they're like somewhere like a hybrid between tiles and cards, like in their texture. I don't know that I've really felt anything that like, because they're not like just straight cardboard, or maybe they are, but they feel different. It almost feels like one of those like more like a game you would get from Asia, like an import kind of thing. But anyways, you have this small box and it like slides open, and then you have these tiles, which again are like, I don't know, are they small tiles or small cards? Who knows? But a chunk of the tiles are just numbered 1 through 4. And then you have these bomb tiles, which are double-sided. One side just like looks like a bomb, and then the other side has some effect. And this is a really like simple tile laying game where, you know, you start with a single bomb tile face down in the center, and then 4 random number tiles orthogonally adjacent to them. And then when it's your turn, like you'll have a hand of 3 of the number tiles in your hand. You're going to just play one of your tiles, your number tiles from your hand. And there's some placement rules, like it needs to be orthogonally adjacent. But when you place a number and the sum of numbers it's touching either in its column and or row totals to 5, something happens. And basically what happens is if there is nothing on one end and then you put one of your own like these cup tiles, and this is like your goal is to end your turn with 5 of your cup tiles face up. But the thing is, as soon as they sum to 5, anything that was touching it flips over. So what's going to happen is like, I'll put a tile down. Okay, adds to 5, but now I have to put one of my cups out and I'm putting it cup side up. And then I have to flip over this bomb that's touching it on the other side. And the bomb might say, hey, flip over every like special tile that's in this row or column, or do something else. So it's this like this weird kind of game where like you're placing tiles on the board almost like dominoes or something, but then you're triggering these flips. and you're trying to also sometimes remember, because like a bomb can flip over and trigger other things flipping over, but then something else another player might do, or you might do in a future round, might flip that tile back over, and then it'll like reactivate. So you're trying to do like clever things to place the tiles so that when it comes to your turn, you are first to make sure all of yours are flipped face up. And it's just like quick. It's the not knowing exactly which bomb tile is out there is really interesting, and having other players flip your tiles whether they wanted to or not is really fun. And yeah, so it's just a cute little game that I ended up playing a couple of times. It's just like a filler game, but it was one that I feel like I wanted to like keep playing. Like it's just like, all right, let's just play it one more time. Let's just play it one more time. So again, I'm not exactly sure like when it's available aside from 2026, but it's called Bomb 5.
I love hearing that. The small box Madigo games are so good. That like little tile rock paper scissors game they made a couple years ago is like very compelling.
Is that one called Lynx? Because if it is, the same designer. This is the same designer. and I was trying to like, when I looked up his name, I was like, I'm trying to remember that. Like that seems like a game like Eric Martin would have showed me. So I can't recall if I ever played it. But yeah, this is another one in that vein, and I feel like some of the like chain reactions that pop off are pretty fun. And again, I really like the presentation of it in terms of the box. It just slides out. They have sections for each of the tiles. Like there's no wasted space, and it's like you could teach it to just about anyone as long as you know how to add numbers to 5. Yeah. So anyways, that's Bomb 5. I know you just mentioned a couple games that you played, but did you have another fresh play that you wanted to mention?
Let me think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I've been playing a lot of lately? Okay, so should we keep going back and forth? Because I've got a few.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, good. So I'm very lucky to have a neighborhood coin group.
Ooh.
Where within basically a block and a half of my house, we gather every couple of weeks, play a coin game. And
I love this.
We were able to play like a bunch of People Power, which is great. And then recently we've been playing Cross Bronx Expressway.
Yes, all the 3-player goodies.
Yeah, and Cross Bronx is really interesting to me because I love city building games. I adore NB. I think he's done fantastic work. And he and I both really admire Chad Jensen's Urban Sprawl, which I think it's like a secret handshake among like historical game design weirdos. Because if you like Urban Sprawl, I kind of know everything about you and I want to work with you and do stuff. The thing about Cross Bronx though is like Cross Bronx is I think coin forces us to be very clinical when we're designing. We have to be like very precise. And it can make things feel, well, I don't know, I mean, maybe just clinical, right? And if you're telling like the story of a city over this long period of time, telling it in that kind of manner, the antiseptic manner, I think can kind of like drain it of some of the life of the story. And so the first few times I played Cross Bronx, I was really unsure about the approach. And I was like, this is mechanically interesting, but it's so difficult. It's so tight that I felt like I was looking at like something that had all the blood squeezed out of it, but it was really beautifully rendered interesting. Now that I have played it more and have a better sense of how the game works, I do not think that. I think it is quite good and quite interesting. It's just a lot of the game is about like, who's going to pay for that? You need to get 3 or 4 games in before you realize like, okay, this is where you're actually making your money. And when you make these moves, I mean, the whole game kind of exists in this like 0 to 20% return on investment margin. And board games are so explosive, right? I mean, you start an 18xx game with a few $100s, you're going to end it with several thousand if you do well.
Right.
And Cross Bronx is like, no. You're gonna win this game with like 4 victory points. And you're gonna have fought tooth and nail for every one of those victory points. It is really interesting. I am still like forming some of my opinions about it, but it has been so fun to explore it at length.
That's cool. Yes. And it's I still need to, like, I've only played I've played 1 decade.
Oh,
A
yeah.
one
It's not enough.
decade game. Yeah. And I'm like, I know. And it feels very like opaque and something that I feel the same way, where it's going to take several plays before I can say, like, oh, like, I love this, or like, oh, I like this more about this, or not, or I don't like this. But it's fascinating, like the history, the mechanisms, the 3-player dynamic, just from the little bits that I've seen. I'm glad to hear that you've been like digging into that one, but I'm also curious to hear about people power.
Oh, people power is interesting. I think it is if I'm going to teach coin straight, like brand new people, for a long time I used Cuba Libre. And I think I got tired of Cuba Libre, not because it's a bad game, but because I just had played it so much and I was always playing it with new players. And then we would jump to a different one. People Power, I think, is a lot more dynamic than Cuba Libre. It has these leader cards that really transform the game strategically. So it's not, once you've played the same coin game several times, a lot of it becomes like, do you know the cards? Do you know kind of what to expect out of the deck?
Yeah.
Once you put in those leaders, it really changes the way the game works. And then I just think the actual scenario is fascinating. The non-violent, like having a 3-player coin game where one of the 3 players is a non-violent protest movement is awesome. It is so capacious. It's just like you can't believe they made a game about it. And also like there are all these like little elements of like how victory works that make it very sharp. And so what happened with People Power, and because People Power is so short, and if you make a mistake, someone just wins. The game's over. And if you have a group that can investigate something, you start to learn like, oh, these are the kinds of like moves and counter moves that people are making. I think it's very well developed. I'm super impressed with it. I'd say the last several like irregular conflict and the last several coin games, and I'll include the entire regular conflict series that GMT has published, have been really wonderful.
Cool. Yeah, People Power is on my list to try, that and China's War and a couple of the other ones, like again, like Fire in the Lake, that I still haven't played, even though I've owned it since June of 2020. It's crazy. But that's awesome to hear that you have like a group that's kind of getting together once a month, because I literally just sent a survey out to a bunch of people in this area who I know either love coin games already or like, might be interested in trying some. I have some friends who like have played Red Dust Rebellion because, maybe they've never been super into the historical aspect, but Red Dust Rebellion brought them in, and now they're curious to try some others. So I'm going to be scheduling like a bunch of regular games. And I remember someone else told me that People Power is a good one to like get people into the series and everything.
I mean, increasingly I'm like, we play People Power and then we're either going to Distant Plain or Red Dust. Because I adore Red Dust Rebellion. I think Red Dust is extremely good.
Fantastic. Yeah, it is. It is really good. And A Distant Plain is one that I've only played 2 players actually with Rodney remotely. We did an async game, and ever since then, I have been wanting to play that one with the full player count, because I think that one, just like the faction interactions, seems so cool. Yeah, so
if you like Andean, Distant Plain feels like Andean Plus in like a really cool way, and also Brian is so brilliant, and all of his brilliance is on display in that game.
Okay, well, anyway, maybe later this year or something, or next year, because I'm really trying to at least play everything once, all the coin games once by the end of the year. But like, I'm also wanting to like deep dive into them. Like, I already know, like, I want to play Fire in the Lake a bunch of times, so I can try every faction and whatnot. Okay, one last coin question.
Sure.
Did you ever get to play All Bridges Burning?
No, I have not played that one.
Okay. Well,
that's another one. That's the 3-player one too, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was the first 3-player coin game, and I've only played it once, and I thought it was really cool. So that's one that I want to revisit as well. But that's awesome. Oh, that's super cool. One more fresh play that I'll mention from my perspective is when I was in Indiana. I went to Indiana to visit friends of mine after going to the trick-taking gathering in Cincinnati, and I finally remembered to like reach out to the Man versus Meeple crew because they live not too far from my friends in Indiana, in the Indianapolis area, I guess. I hit up Ryan from Man versus Meeple and got to go to a game night with him. And it was like, I love Ryan, number one, but he picked me up. We went to this game night at a friends of theirs. And it was really, really fun because one, I played Wizard for the first time.
Ooh, I've never played.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So
and it's a classic.
Yes, it's a classic trick-taking game. And the funniest thing about Wizard to me is that one of my best friends from like high school, growing up in Pennsylvania, she gave me a copy of Wizard for a gift like years ago, way before I was like into trick-taking games or even modern board games. And it always like had this like very boring, like bland box that it was in. And so I just never was excited to break it out. And then like years later, you know, I get into trick-taking games. I hear more about Wizard. I see like different versions, but I still haven't tried it. And then so someone at this game night, we had 6 players and we were trying to like figure out how we wanted to split up. But we were like, let's just play Wizard. And it's very cool. It's a little like wild because you're basically, it's all about like bidding on the tricks. In our 6-player game, we played 10 rounds. And on round 1, everybody only gets 1 card. And it's a game where you want to hit your bid. So, you know, most people are going to bet 0 tricks on that first hand. But the thing that makes it spicy is that it's a regular deck of cards with these, I think there are 4 copies of each of these special cards. There's a jester, and a jester always loses. Like there's no way you will win the trick if you play a jester. Okay. And you can play it even if you can follow suit. And then there's the wizard cards. And I think there are like 4 of those. And if you play a wizard first into a trick, you will win. But like people can throw their wizards after another one to make sure they don't win. So you're really trying to like balance the amount of tricks you're bidding that you're gonna win to actually win them, because at the end of the round, if you hit your bid, you get a base of 20 points plus 10 points per trick you win. But then if you're off, for every one that you're off, you lose 10 points. So if I bid that I'm going to take 4 tricks and I only win 2, I'm losing 20 points on that. And it's, but it's crazy because of the way you increment the amount of cards you're playing with in your hand. Round 1 is 1, round 2 is 2, and then it went all the way up to 10. So it's kind of like, it's a little wild. At some point I got to a place where I missed a few bids and I was like, there's no way I can catch up. Like there's no true shoot the moon, but I still had a good time playing it and will definitely like bust it out more now that I've tried it. But anyway, then we, like, Ryan was really excited to play this new heavier Euro game called Baghdad, the City of Peace. And this one, did you ever get to play Shackleton Base?
Yes, I have played Shackleton Base. Sure.
Okay. So same designers as Shackleton Base,
cool.
Fabio Lopiano and Nestore Mengone. But this one is from Alley Cat Games. It came out last year. I think it was a Kickstarter or something. And maybe they had it available at Essen. But overall, like, the game didn't excite me, like, tremendously. Yeah. But what I liked about it, because I'm just, like, a lot pickier with my Euro games these days. Like, it's just got to be, like, doing something a little special. But what I'll say about this, there was something I really liked about it, and I would like to see more. So, and this is why I wanted to mention it, is it has this like big rondel that you're going to be moving your Vizier around and like taking different actions and doing stuff. But mostly you're like collecting things and trying to put them on your board to score points. But the cool thing is there's this card sliding kind of card programming mechanism in the game where every turn of yours, you're going to play a character card. Well, first you're going to slide down any ones that were previously played, and then you're going to play a new character card. And at that point, when you do the slide, if a card slides off and has a bonus, you get that bonus that's on the bottom part of the card. Hey, so this is like kind of tying into the multi-use cards here.
Look at you.
Yeah. But some of the cards you get, because you're always each round at the end of your turn going to draft a new one of these character cards. And some of them have endgame scoring requirements. Or I'm not going to say endgame scoring requirements. I'm just going to say scoring requirements because, again, whenever you choose to play that card and it slides on off your little track, then that's when it's going to say, hey, did you meet this condition? If so, you get points. And I thought this was really cool because the other thing about these cards is on the tops of the cards, they have icons that like basically give you like action points for a particular type of action. So, because a lot of what you're doing when you move around a rondel is you're collecting books, you're collecting students, you're trying to like heal patients, and then you're trying to, what's the other thing? Oh, like collect goods or something, or artifacts. I think they were called artifacts. But you have slots on your player board that are like, hey, to fill this slot, you need to have 4 book icons, book action icons.
Okay.
And so the cards that are in your row after you place your new character have icons that match these actions. So you're trying to like synergize so that you can pull off the actions that you want to do. And then on top of that, you also have this boat that's this area of the board that's you're moving a boat, and you move your boat a certain amount of spaces. You can add more boats. And when you do, you get to collect something that's going to help you build this palace, you know, all that kind of like Euro-y combo stuff. So some of the cards will have that boat icon. And when you play a card with a boat icon, all of the cards that are in your current queue, which are 3 cards, that boat icon will like, you'll get that many boat movements and you can pay money to like, okay, so as I'm talking about this, I'm like, there are things I liked more about it than I like realized. But I thought that the card sliding thing to decide like, what is the timing that I play this card, you know, so that I make sure I'm meeting whatever the condition is by the time it slides off, that I get the corresponding bonus. And it was very, very thinky. And the other thing that's cool about it is that the cards, you never like shuffle your deck or anything. Like once those cards slide off, they're gone because you're always adding a new card to your hand. And I think you had 3 cards in your hand at a time. So for people out there who are into like medium heavy Euro games or like games that have a rondel, definitely worth checking this out. It's something I would for sure play again, but it's not something I'm like, oh, I need to own this. And if I had to, just from playing this and Shackleton Base once, I left my play of Shackleton Base more excited. Like I've been wanting to like revisit that one. This one I could like, I would be happy to play it again, but I'm not like dying to. But I think people who like or like Euro games are their jam, definitely check this one out. And it's
interesting.
Yeah.
I love Lupiano's designs. Sort of. Like it's the biggest like caveat because when I played Calimala, I thought this is the way forward in Euro design. And then it felt like a road that was never really pushed on because the designs got so much more elaborate. And so every Lupiano game, I'm like, oh, maybe this is going to be like the next Calimala. And none of them have hit. In fact, the one that like I'm most iffy on is Sankore, which like, I love thematically. And I think is like actually brilliant as a design, but I have never actually been able to get that brilliance to like pay off in play because when I teach people when we're playing it, and these are people who can stomach complex games.
Yeah.
And they're always like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, but we're doing this little matrix thing. We're kind of doing this area majority thing. And it's always like fascinating like blocks. And they're like, why are all of these layers here? And I get it because I also like, I mean, so I hadn't, so, okay, well, let me tell you about another game that I played recently. So I went to a board game night recently. I played Forest Shuffle. It was pleasant game. Forest Shuffle.
Pretty art, yeah.
Talk about multi-use cards. Got them out the wazoo. Forest Shuffle, we're having a good time. But the experience of playing Forest Shuffle with 4 players is kind of bewildering because you're like, there's so many things to look at. And then, but fundamentally, what are you doing in Forest Shuffle? Well, there's a little market and you're drafting. And like, are you going for the like, Linden points? Am I going for the like, whatever? Like, am I trying to get all the rabbits? But like, in order to like to know what we're going for, I have to be looking over and looking at the tableau. And it's just like, as a 2-player game, I think those drafting games kind of work best as 2-player games. But as a 4-player game, we like did this thing. I just thought like, God, this little card has like 8, 10, 20 pieces of information on it. Everything is so small and packed. There's always like very like, terraforming Mars style like synergy like combo chains. But figuring them out is like not really playing with the other players. And after we played Forest Shuffle, put it away, and they're like, Cole, what do you want to play? And I took out the only game I brought with me, which was Web of Power.
Oh!
By Michael Schott.
Yes.
Also known as China. Also
or Iwari?
Yes, same game.
Yeah.
Okay, so we like sat down and I'm like, let me teach you how to play this game. I taught them how to play it in like 2 minutes. It was very simple. And we're playing it. And what occurred to me is like, oh, well, this is also a drafting game because pretty much every card that is played is drawn from a public market. And the value of the card is not being determined by some weird like skunk point matrix that they built out, but just like, here's a little piece going on the board. And we're all making kind of bets about what parts of the board we think are going to be important and win. And I just felt like I ended that game and I thought, this game did everything Forest Shuffle did without any without any content chrome. I like want a new design term. I guess I have
content chrome.
It's content chrome, which is like, it's not rules chrome. It's just, here's a card with a gazillion little widgets on it.
Right.
And in order to play the game well, you have to master it. And it's funny because I am guilty of it. Like Oath is a game that is filled with like content chrome. But the like Arc Nova Terraforming Mars Forest Shuffle space to me is like push things like a step too far, where I sit down and I think like, boy, is there a simpler way that we can express this like drafting drama that we really want?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about Lupiano is, even though I think his designs are very layered and very chromy and dense, I think like their heart is actually extremely interactive and and emergent. I still feel like they're best expressed in Calimala. Although I will try City of Peace, and I like Shackleton Base quite a bit too.
Yeah. And have you tried IR or did you ever play Merv?
I've played Merv, which is good.
Okay.
I have not played IR, which I'm interested in, but like I've gone up to it and looked at IR and thought, gosh, I really want to get into this game. And then I'm like, but should I just be playing Sankore more? Maybe. I don't know. I can't. I'm not giving up on it yet. I have almost sold Sankore like 8 times. And then I put it on my little my cell stack, and then I'm like, get back here. I'll give you one more chance.
Yeah. I want to explore you a little bit more.
Which again, like this is where I always feel like people should know, like when I'm critiquing a game, I'm criticizing a game, it's always coming from a place of like love. Like I'm disappointed dad being like, try a little harder, kid. But also like with Sankore, like I love playing a game that I don't know if it's good or not. And like when I eventually sell this copy of Sankore, which will happen someday, I'm going to have played it like 15 times.
Yeah.
And so like
awesome.
like usually like a lot of the games that I hold on to are either games that I'm like studying or games that I haven't yet played, because after I play a game a lot, I'm usually happy to kind of pass it on.
That's so cool. And I need to revisit Sankore because I only played a like 2-hour demo of it with both designers. And I don't know if it was like the way the demo was presented, in that like it was very kind of scripted, like, okay, you're this player, so play this card on your turn. So it could very well be something about the way that the demo was run. And, no, I'm not critiquing that per se, but I'm just saying that method didn't get me like excited to play the game like fully.
I think it's genuinely very difficult to teach.
Yeah. So maybe that's exactly. So you think your demo, you have a short amount of time people who don't know how to play it, and you have to somehow like give them a tutorial into it. But I really liked the library books, like the way like that scoring works. So I'm gonna have to play it again. And I've been also hearing like some of my friends have been digging IR, but I feel like most of them are still saying of the three in that series that Sankore is most people's favorite.
Oh,
also
interesting. Okay, that's compelling.
Yeah. So now that you also have been like getting into it, and you know that it's made it from being cut from in your sale collection or your sale pile, makes me want to play it a bit.
Yeah, I can't decide what I think about this game. I just can't decide. I mean, I had a very similar, like when I was first playing Castles of Burgundy, it was a game I like really didn't like, but then I just kept playing it and it like wormed its way into my heart. Yeah.
That's cool. I love it. I mean, that's how like some of my favorite music has, like become my favorite music, is like just like those repeat listens, and you keep discovering stuff and you're like, holy cow, this person is legit. We've already been like kind of talking about multi-use card magic.
Sure.
We know like multi-use cards are cards that have multiple bits of information that can be used in a game in different ways.
Right.
And one of the things that I was observing that I thought was cool, because I'm also doing a solo challenge right now, and I was just playing a game called Desolate. Okay. And Desolate is like one of those tin can games or like small box solo games. And basically like it'll have something like, it actually is a really cool system by the guy who designed Iron Helm. I think it's the same designer as Iron Helm, where basically you draw two cards face down and then you choose to flip one of them over. And then when you see what that card is, you have to decide, do you want to deal with that or, take that effect, or do you want to just discard it? But then you're stuck with the other one that you don't know what it is until you flip it over. And the way it handles like conflict is really cool, because you have like an exploration deck and a conflict deck, and they work together. So like the card, if you run into a conflict, then you're going to flip a conflict card, and the value on the exploration card is going to contribute to what that like alien's health is. So you're like kind of combining those two cards. But then also in that game, there's like sometimes where you're going to gain a crate, and then you draw a card and you flip it 180 degrees, and that's what's in your crate and stuff like that. So I guess I was thinking about how sometimes it's like a component efficiency thing.
Yeah, for sure.
To have the cards work in different ways that the game designer sets out. But then other times the game designer is giving the player multiple options. Like you're looking at this card and you can choose to use it like A, or you can save it to use it as B, and sometimes C, and sometimes D. And I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Like there are so many different layers to multi-use card design.
When you asked me about this, I thought, okay, how do I define a multi-use card game? Because I was just like kind of milling about and wondering, we'll see when we get into the games, but I have some games that like other folks might say like, is that really even count as a multi-use card? And what I realized was there are kind of three different like categories of multi-use cards. So the first category is a multi-use card that is multi-use because it's efficient component wise, like Glory to Rome. Right. And so instead of all these fiddly bits, it's like, no, you just have a multi-use card. You just tuck it easy.
Yeah.
The second type is opportunity cost. So, and like forest shuffle is like that, right? Like this card could be the badger, could be a wolf. And like, if you choose to use the card for the badger, like you don't get the wolf side or whatever.
Yeah.
And I love that use of the card, because you see like games are all about hard choices. And when you turn a card into its A aspect instead of its B aspect, you lose it. You lose that B aspect. It's gone. Yeah. And then the last element is cards that have two uses in the game, but like the card does two very different things in play. But it's not like you don't spend it to cost the other one. And so
Right.
like the example, which I'll probably talk about later, is Concordia. Is like, as you're like, and that like barely even seems like a multi-use card game, except the deck you're drafting is also your scoring rubric.
Yeah.
And so like it is a multi-use card.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. No, you're totally right. And I was thinking too of, I guess, your opportunity cost, that kind of frame, like card-driven games, CDGs, like Twilight Struggle, where it's like, very simply, like, are you going to use this card to trigger the event, or are you going to use the card for the operation points, which are like action points?
Yes.
But then there's like so many different types of CDGs now, where some of them are like, hey, you might like or where the games where here's what I'm trying to say. The games where when you play a card that there's an event on it that's going to trigger for the opposite side.
Yes.
Like those kind of CDGs. Like sometimes you have a CDG where you have your own deck for whatever role you're playing, and all those cards are related to you, but you still have to decide, do you want to use it for the operation / action points, or do you want to trigger this event? But then there are other games where you shuffle the entire deck and there are events for both sides or all sides. And it's like, when is the timing of using that card, because it's going to let your opponent do something, which is also really cool. Have you played Land and Freedom yet?
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I really like that in Land and Freedom as a historical CDG, that one of the options is that you can kind of like build a little engine with your cards based on those icons on the one side. I can't remember exactly the name, but I just remember being like, oh, that's kind of like a fresh approach to, instead of just having ops points and an event that you could trigger.
Yeah, I debated like, are CDGs like, is that a multi-use card? Because I really think about multi-use cards as like, in the beginning there was Glory to Rome, or like everything, right, like, it's kind of building off of that. But I was like, well, no, like a CDG is like an essential like ops or event you have to choose. And I was actually thinking about, in particular, my favorite example of this recently has been like the way the events work in Virgin Queen, because there are like players, there's a deck of cards, they have operations and event cards, or sorry, all the cards have events and ops points on them, or command points, or whatever they get called. And they're mandatory events and whatever. But one of the key things about the game is there are a lot of like very impactful events that don't have to trigger. And so in Virgin Queen, the Ottomans have this pirate leader named Dragut, who's like, he's very strong. He's like one of the strongest leaders in the game, and he makes the life of the victims of Ottoman piracy horrible. But there's a card in the deck that is just called Dragut Falls, and it kicks him out of the game. But it's a pretty like low power card, and so what will happen is players will like, I'll just use it for the points. It doesn't really affect me. And so as the Ottoman player, you're always on this like secret spy mission every diplomacy phase to figure out like, is that card in someone's hand? Are they going to play it to hurt me? Can I give them something to not hurt me? And
right.
That card has just all these different uses. And it's just so wonderful to like watch a multi-use card. Like it's all like really the entire game is about like, how are you choosing to spend this card and win? And then figuring out what the proper balance is. And it's this wonderful display of like the essential questions of multi-use card design.
Yeah. There's so much here. And again, this happens to me a lot where I'm like, oh yeah, let's just pick 5 games. And I'm like, this will be easy, because I had like one game in mind. And then I start like looking back and doing some research and being like, oh my gosh, there are so many. So this was a challenging, and I'm going to just be like completely honest. I tried to kind of rank things a little bit, but then I'm like, do I rank it in terms of how many uses there are? Or do I rank it in terms of how much I love the game, regardless if the multi-use card play is like, not even like as significant as some other games? So anyways, we will keep this casual and just talk about some games. And then I will definitely like end with the game that made me realize that I was like, I really want to talk about this.
Okay,
and with
great,
you.
Great. Well, I've chosen my first, right? So
okay.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think the VQ, Here I Stand, like, do you want to play the event or the operation? And then the fact that a lot of the times when you play the event, that card, if it's a significant event, will disappear from circulation. Or you can keep it in. And Twilight Struggle has a little bit of that energy too.
Yes.
Like, I think this is like, it almost distills the multi-use card for me into its like design essential. And so that's my first pick.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, have you played Triumph and Tragedy?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because
I can't believe I didn't put it on my list. That's what a great.
Technically, I don't have it on my list either. But I was like, as I was like kind of doing research and seeing like who else out there has made lists like this and like what games did they consider, Triumph and Tragedy came up. And I remember I've only played it once and I loved it. And I'm really excited to play that one again because I remember like how it mixes like you need resources, but then the politics and then the war. And it's another one of those amazing like 3-player gaming experiences, and I love block war games too.
Oh yeah, I think Triumph and Tragedy is for me a top 3 best GMT game ever published. Like, I think it's incredible. So funnily enough, when I was thinking about this segment, all the games in my house are in 2 places. They're either in my like little attic office where I am now, or they're in the basement. And the historical games are upstairs, and the basement's kind of like where everything else is. And when I was thinking about this, I was like, well, obviously I want to like talk about VQ a little bit. And then I without even looking at the other historical games, I went downstairs because I was like, well, multi-use cards, that's a Euro thing. So I'm not going to see any of those up here. And I went downstairs to look around on the shelves. And I love that you brought up Triumph and Tragedy because what a good example of a good historical game with multi-use cards.
Hey, listen, I almost missed it too. Anyway, I'll just say the first one I'll mention is Dune Imperium, all things like Uprising, because the cards, it's a worker placement and deck building game where you're getting new cards for your deck that are giving you lots of different choices as you draw your hand, but you're thinking about the icon of like, okay, which locations can I visit with this card to place one of my agents, but also like what is like the little bonus effect there might be. And then the cards that you don't use to place your agents, you're going to use for your reveal turn, which is like, it makes for some like really like juicy hand management decisions. And I think I've only played Arnak twice now, but I think that has some like decisions on how you use your cards too, if I recall.
Interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'll say Dune Imperium Uprising.
I think that's a good one. I think it's a good one. So I mean, the other one which I mentioned a little bit, but I'll mention properly is Concordia, which like Concordia, I think. So I had a very funny experience learning Concordia because back when it came out, I'd played a bunch of Matt Garris games. I was primed to love that game, and someone taught me how to play Concordia. I think like a early BGG Con for me, like maybe BGG Con like 2012. It was like one of the very first BGG Cons, cool. For me at least. Although maybe also for BGG Con, I can't remember how long BGG Con has been going.
I don't know either.
Okay, so anyway, someone taught me how to play Concordia very badly, and they did not explain how to win or the scoring, and so I thought Concordia was bad. For years, people would be like, yeah, do you like Concordia? I'm like, no, I think it's boring. I don't even understand what you do, because I assumed there was some kind of weird cash out, and all of the little like Jupiter, Mars. I had no idea what that stuff did, because someone had taught me Concordia. We'd played 3 turns, and then the hall was closing, and so we packed it up. And then when I was working at Leader, one of the guys we had working there for a while, this guy named Marshall Britt, he would talk about Concordia with such reverent tones. And I was like, okay, Concordia, maybe I should try it out. And I was at a flea market and happened to pick up an old copy of Concordia. And I read the rules and I was like, oh my gosh, the cards that you're buying are also your scoring rubric. And it it blew me away.
Yeah.
It blew me away because if I see a game that gives players the ability to make gambits around their own scoring system, that is like catnip for me. And Concordia does it in such a way that is like almost frictionless, because the cards that you're getting, they're not like I think a more modern Euro game would be like, oh, you're getting a Mars card. That card helps you with war, but rewards you for peace. Like they always have this like very cagey, like now you have to figure out how to make that work. Aren't you so smart?
Right.
And and Concordia is not like that. There is a thematic coherence to the way the different scoring systems work that it feels good. It's like almost like frictionless. And I think the design is really remarkable. And it also is a great example of multi-use cards that are very simple in layout. Like those Concordia cards have like just a little bit of text on them, and then they just have the word of a god, and that's it. You like hardly need icons to do it. It's great. Great design.
Yeah. So good. I love Concordia. And that is like, if I was going to like look around on my shelves, that is definitely in like a top 5 of games I want to be playing like so much more than I have, because it's such a great design. So good. But that's a good pick, because I definitely didn't even like really think of that one. Okay, cool. I'll just go with like Glory to Rome. That was like for sure like on my list of like the way the cards are used in Glory to Rome, can be a resource, can be like building up, it could be a like raw material, could be a building type. Like the fact that, and also just like the game itself with the follow mechanism and everything, I think of like the Carl Chudik games, like I have to like shout out Glory to Rome. Also love Innovation though.
Yep. No, I mean Glory to Rome is such a classic, and is so like has so much game in such a small box. Like it really is amazing how much they crammed in there.
Yep. All right, what else you got?
Okay, so I'm going to do Glory to Rome's like straight-laced older brother who works at a law practice, which is Tom Lehman's Race for the Galaxy.
Oh, yes.
So like Race to me it's almost the platonic ideal of like an engine building game. And it only gets there because of how it uses its cards, because of the multi-use cards. And here, the primary use in those cards is how they like tuck. And how the cards are also like, they're almost serving as like this weird timer, and like you just flip it down and tuck it, and then that card, that little like factory now has its good, and you can ship it to the planet. And it again allows you, like it folds this whole universe of like Euro game play into basically a deck of cards. I mean, I had played a lot of Puerto Rico before I played San Juan, and then once I played San Juan, I had this thought of like, do I like Puerto Rico even? Because I feel like San Juan is kind of doing all of it. And then when I played Race for the Galaxy, I'm like, oh, and then Race for the Galaxy like opens wide, like the full throttle. It's full throttle San Juan. And I think all of that is managed because it just has a very beautiful application of multi-use cards.
Yeah, great pick. And as just a side quest here, I actually just played Puerto Rico for the first time. My friends Shu and Christina have the
super fancy
1897 special. Yeah. And like the minute, and I knew like roughly like what would like Puerto Rico is about. And I knew how many games came from that follow mechanism that like was started there, as far as I know. But this game, at first I looked, I was like, this seems like so like overproduced and everything. But it was really, really nice. And I'm like, I get it. I get why people are like, this is an amazing design. And now there's a, non-problematic version of it. But anyway, that's just a side thing because I played it for the first time like a month ago. Great. All right. So I'll hit you with one that I think is awesome. And it's probably something you have on your list also. Mm-hmm. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
Not on my list.
Not on your list? Okay.
You picked it. That's great. I just hadn't even thought about it. But yeah, it's a great card.
Okay. I just haven't played a ton of any of them. Like I've never played Big Gloomhaven. I've played like a scenario of Frosthaven and maybe like 4 of Jaws of the Lion. But I love the card play and how you are picking two cards and they have a top and bottom, and one of them you're going to play like the top, one of them you're going to play the bottom, and you have this like kind of limited pool of cards that you're upgrading throughout the game. I know you played more than me of, I forget which one, but probably all of them. But I think though the card play was like my jam. Like when I first got into, I was like, this is so cool.
When I love playing other people. So it's so funny. I do not play many dungeon crawlers. I've played a lot of Gloomhaven, all the various iterations of it. But I love learning dungeon crawlers because you have, as a designer, you have to find a really good expressive engine that's going to be able to hold 20 different classes and 100 different magic items and 100 different monsters. Like, you need some kind of cool combat system that's going to do it. And Gloomhaven, those multi-use cards are so powerful because you can easily imagine, like, yeah, there are 60 classes. And the thing is, this is all like very logarithmic, because if there are 60 Gloomhaven classes or however many there are, there's 100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the space is just so capacious. It's so like fun to work in. I think that's a great example.
Cool. And then, so I'm at least going to be playing the Buttons and Bugs, the small version of Gloomhaven soon, because that's on my solo challenge list. So I will get my Gloomhaven fill there. All right, what else you got?
Okay, so I'm now getting like a little split, because these have been very good, but now all these other ideas are bubbling up.
Yeah.
And so I want to give a like, well, okay, I'm gonna do something uncharacteristic, which is I'm going to add a game that I've not played very much of. I've actually only played it once, but I had such a good time and I was so impressed with the quality of the design that I want to talk about it, which is Guards of Atlantis II.
Oh my gosh, that's literally the next one I was going to bring up.
So we can both talk about it. We can both talk about it, because this is deep lore. My brother and I, on a road trip back from Texas, actually to Texas by way of Wisconsin, we had this crazy, we like left Indiana, went up to Wisconsin to visit family, and then drove to Texas in a car without air conditioning. We used to do game design jams while we were driving. And we designed this game called Headset Heroes about playing MOBAs.
Okay.
And it's not very good. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if I'll ever do anything with that design. But it kind of biased me against MOBA board games, because I felt like this is a hard genre. I love these games, but it's kind of hard to design in the genre because you're going to make all these mistakes. And like the classic mistake is like, how much attention do you give to the minion? And there's all these like funny design questions with respect to like how you adapt MOBAs to an analog form. Anyway, for a long time, I was like, that experience, even though I had a good time, made it so I was not interested in any MOBA board game. And so I missed Guards of Atlantis 1. I missed Guards of Atlantis 2. And then I got invited to join a Guards of Atlantis group and play a game. And it was really, really good. I could not believe it. And so good. The like here are your 5 cards that you can only use in a couple different ways. And when someone hits you and you block with that card, and like, if someone hits me again, I am cooked.
Yeah.
And just how it manages to collapse so many character and class differences in just a single set of cards is amazing. And it's because they're multi-use.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that you played Guards of Atlantis too. It is one of my absolute favorite games. I was just checking my BG stats, and I have 15 logged plays of it.
Ooh.
And that's like, and I barely scratched the surface, I feel like, even with 15 plays. But yeah, I had to put it on this list because of a couple things. Like, one is like when you are playing a card on your turn and everybody like picks a card, they put it face down. And once everyone has done that, you reveal those cards simultaneously. No one can talk. And it's a team-based game, I'll mention, but like you cannot talk. So you're going to like then see what everybody decided to play. And And you also have some data if it's like later in the round where you're on turn 3, you could see like, oh, I see Cole already played his red attack card, like with that, like that 5 card hand, like it's so cool. But then, so then I'm led with like, oh, well now that I see what Cole's doing, like, do I use my card to move, or do I use my card to like, you maybe attack or use the special ability of whatever I was like thought I was originally planning to do. And then I'm left there like thinking about that without being able to communicate with my team.
Yeah.
And that is so juicy. But then the other cool thing is the way you level up your cards throughout the game. You get money from taking down minions and other heroes. And then you must level up your cards. And that system is so cool because you always have, for a given type of card, like red cards or your blue cards, whatever, you have 2 choices for that next level. And the one that you pick might be just like a better version of what you previously had, or it could be like slightly different. But the one that you don't pick gets tucked upside down and slid into your player board, and now that's boosting some other stat. So sometimes like when you're deciding, or like I find when I'm deciding like which card to play, that's even a tough decision of like, which one of these do I want to upgrade into? And sometimes it's like, like they're both super cool, but like which one do I want to tuck? Like, hey, my character doesn't have great initiative, so maybe I want to like upgrade to this one so that I tuck the one that gives me more initiative. So well, I love Guards of Atlantis 2. I hope you get to play it more. It's special.
The group that I was playing with has played so much, and so that was fantastic, right? Just like just play with a group that like really like knew it. And also I was like, please invite me again because I want to keep playing this game. I'm just like very, I don't know. It like hits something that I don't know. I love asymmetric games, and it was just very fun to see the asymmetry rendered like so simply and so crisply.
Yeah.
And it's just good. It's just a good design. The biggest thing that like, there are 2 wolves in me right now fighting about this. So much of the game state is like fully knowable. And like, I had a moment where I went for like a killing blow, and then that player had a parry card. And if I would have known what was going on, I could have known that I was doing something stupid. But the fog of war, you like kind of want it. And the group I was playing with said like, we are not revealing what's in our deck. We are strictly adhering to the table talk rules. And if you feel surprised by a cool power someone brings up, guess what? You're learning the game like the first time that happens to you in a real-time strategy game. You're like, I didn't know Sniper could do that. I didn't know this stun like blocked through a BKB in Dota. Like they're like, that's part of the MOBA experience, and we want to preserve that. And I was like, you know what? I'm into that.
It's so cool. Yeah. It makes me want to play it. And also it's just, I love team games too. And it like the team play in that game is so phenomenal. It's definitely like a top 10 game for me right now. So cool. I'm glad that was on your list too. So let's see what else. I have one other one. I don't know where we are number wise because I think a very scattered list.
Okay, I've got one more. I've got one more I want to talk about, but
and then we also could do honorable mentions. So yeah. All right, so let's do your one more, and then we'll do my one more.
I'll do my one more. So I'm going to talk about Oath, because Oath is a game about multi-use cards, and because your podcast has a design focus a little bit, I thought let's talk about a game I worked on. Oath has multi-use cards. They are critical to having the game work, and they're also critical to not just the game mechanically, but also the game thematically. So in Oath, the entire game of Oath is powered by this Denizen deck. Multi-use cards allowed me to solve a really important design problem. So in Oath, I had this basic issue, which is I wanted for you to be able to have a card be part of your game, and then to have that same card not be in the next game and you to wonder, did that card leave the deck forever? or is it still in the deck and then maybe it comes up? So the idea was, okay, well, we have a deck of 50 cards. And if 10% of that deck is changing every game, then we're looking at, 5 or so cards changing every game, right? It's 6, but there's a little more than 50 cards in the deck. Okay, so we have that for our, that's kind of our baseline churn. But then if certain cards are going to be hidden, now if the deck has 60 cards in it, well, let's say 30 of them don't get played with. Okay, cool. So 30 of them don't get played with. And then we have a big well of like 200 cards that are not in play at any given time. Now, what does that all mean? Well, it means that I have to build a whole big strategy game around a 30-card deck, which is not very many cards. I mean, Forest Shuffle has got way more cards than that. So the only way this is possible is if the cards do double duty. So when you play a card in Oath, you are either playing it for its power or more likely for its like suit affiliation. So as an example, like you get a card, this is the Old Oak is a beast card, good at getting secrets. You could play that as a beast card. Someone could use that card to muster an army. That card as a beast card could power up a different card. Beast cards oftentimes power each other up if they're with similar suited cards. Or you could actually interact with the power of that card. The way this multi-suiting is used is not exclusive. So because you use the Old Oak card for its power, doesn't mean you can't on a later turn muster from it or that another player can't. So it's an all-inclusive inclusive multi-suited nature. The cards are all-inclusive in the sense that they can have many different uses over the course of a single game. And what this does then, so that's the mechanical solve. And then on the narrative solve, what it means is that sometimes when you're playing the game, you're just looking suits. You kind of like unfocus your eyes and you're like, I need to go to where there's order cards. Oh, there's a city with some order cards. I'll travel there. I'll interact with these order cards. And then later you're like, oh, there's an armorer in that city. And I'm going to go to the city. I'm going to activate the card's specific power. And in the imaginations of the player, it's like that illustration now like comes to life. And that little armorer like steps outside of his shop to go talk to you. Yeah. And so it allows the game to kind of like use foreground and background thematically and mechanically. And all of that is just possible because the cards are multi-suited. Or not multi-solid, but multi-use.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you mentioned, like, seriously, I am so juiced up to like get back into Oath. The few times that I've played it, it has been like moments where we will play back-to-back games because it's like, it's just so good and so different. And honestly, like I remember reading your designer diaries for it, and that kind of influenced a change that I made to, I guess, like the scope of my game was kind of inspired by like how you don't have like a real map, you're like kind of using cards in different ways. And that always like, I was like, that's so freaking cool.
Yeah. They like serve as the map. They serve as your advisors. They sometimes are a resource that you have to pay.
So remind me again, like what is the timing with the expansion and
we are finishing up the pre-production process like over the next month and a half. Hopefully people will have it in their hands by the fall.
Cool.
Yeah, I think or hopefully early fall. That is it's complicated just because of the company handoff. And so originally I thought like, oh, this is only going to last a few weeks. It might be closer to a month, but like we are very close to putting it in production, and you can play it right now on Tabletop Simulator.
Awesome. Well, that gives me some time to, number one, play my ARCS campaign a couple times, some ARCS campaigns, and to like actually like get into Oath a bit before that expansion comes out. So super cool. I'm glad you brought that one up. So again, I had like a huge list as I was like going through and thinking about different games, but the one that inspired the topic for this particular podcast episode is Combat Commander Europe.
Ooh, great choice.
Thank you. I was like, have you played Combat Commander?
Yeah.
Okay. I figured.
I figured. That is a good choice.
So I just recently, like whenever I first got into Combat Commander, I was like, oh, this game is like super cool. I also like, it's a special one because it's a hex encounter game that can be like sound scary and complex, but it's one that like my partner Matt loves and we enjoy playing together. And he's not like a huge, like heavy war gamer or just a heavy gamer in general. So like when there's something that kind of captures him as like fun also to play with me, it's like extra special. But Combat Commander Europe is designed by the late Chad Jensen, who also designed Urban Sprawl, like you said, and Dominant Species. It's from GMT Games. It originally came out in like 2006, but then there was like Combat Commander Pacific. And then I think there's one that's going to be like Vietnam, maybe, that's coming in the future. I think actually NB is like one of the developers on that.
Yeah.
There's something there, but then they just dropped a 20th anniversary edition that includes the big like Mediterranean expansion and everything. But anyway, what it is that I love about Combat Commander, this is a card-driven tactical war game that, you are either playing as Axis or the Allies. In the core game, Europe, you're either, if you're the Allies, you're America or Russia, and then against Germany. And what's really cool about this is, like, whichever side you're playing, whichever faction you're playing, you're going to have this deck, this huge deck of fate cards. I don't remember exactly how many are in each deck, but it's a thick stack of cards. And you're going to shuffle up those cards and play the game using these cards for so much. So, first of all, you're trying to have the most like victory points at the end of the game. And the main way you're getting points is from these objectives. And there's usually, it depends on the scenario you're playing, but there'll be like one public objective, like, hey, like whoever controls this particular location is going to get like 5 points or whatever. But then players usually have a secret objective as well, which is kind of spicy. And then you can get points by like attacking people and taking down enemies, from like getting your counters, like your units, to run off the opposite side of the board. So there are like lots of different ways to score points. But when it's your turn, you get to play a number of orders. And so the cards in your hand have many different sections on them. You have an order that you can play, like it might be like move or attack, or what is it when you're trying to recover? I guess just like recover, like helping your suppressed units or whatever. There are a certain number of orders. Like I want to say there are like 6 of them or something like that. But then you also have actions, and some of your cards will have a special action that usually you can combine with an order. And then each card also has like a die roll value, because there are no dice in this game. So anytime you have to do something that involves rolling a die, you're going to flip a card off the top of your deck and see what the number is. And then sometimes wherever that die roll icon is, which is like basically 2d6 dice icons that sum to some amount, but sometimes there'll be like a box around it saying, oh, an event is triggered. And if you happen to like flip a card when you're trying to check the die roll result and it has an event, then you flip another card and you look at the event section on that card to see what the event is. Then you also, there are times where you're going to have to check a random hex. So you flip another card and you look at the random hex value on that. So there's all these like cool uses of the cards. I like that the system is diceless, because there's a balance of results. So it's like, even if you end up with this hand of cards that, like, if you keep having like low results, it's like at some point that's likely going to turn around. But it's just the fact that you're seeing so many different situations just by having this mechanism of like flipping cards to do other stuff, to trigger events. Like one of the main events in the way the game flows is by time. And time is like basically abstractly representing like several minutes of real time. And so anytime someone flips a card as a roll result that has the time icon, you're going to like advance the time track, which might mean you're getting some like new units that you can, like some reinforcements. It usually means you're going to have to whoever triggered that is going to have to reshuffle their deck. And then it's like you have no idea like what kind of stuff is going to come up. But I just like I fell in love with this card system, and it's one of the reasons I just love multi-use cards. And then it's like there's a game called Tank Duel, which is more of a beer and pretzels team-based World War II game where you're like, Axis versus Allies with tanks. And that uses a multi-use card system, again, instead of like rolling dice. And you're flipping cards to see, okay, this is how far away I am, or okay, I flip a card to see what my attack is, and I'm trying to hit some number. And then the other one that I'll mention that also like, again, like Combat Commander is the first one I played like this, but Fields of Fire is another one, which is a big, heavy, like solo game that uses cards in so many like cool ways. Yeah. So anyway, just like revisiting Combat Commander made me be like, it is so cool how many different ways these cards are used, and how it just makes each game have all these like really like cinematic stories. And like you just never know like what's going to happen, even if you're playing the same scenario over and over again.
And Combat Commander, like it uses cards like every way a card can be used. You know what I mean? It's really incredible.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the one that kind of inspired like talking about multi-use cards in games, and it definitely like made me think about like the fact that this one does have like there's just so much on every card, and you're constantly flipping cards to see what happens. But there are just so many great games out there that have multi-use cards, like Beer and Bread. I don't know if you ever played that one.
Oh yeah, I haven't played that one.
Two-player game. Really, really solid 2-player game where you can like use cards in different ways as like you're scoring for different actions. Super cool. Did you have any honorable mentions or anything else?
The one that I would want to put here would be something like, Pax Furiana is in that same lineage of like, it's like Combat Commander where like, how many different ways can we use the card? Is the card a rail line? Is it like we're like tucking it? Just the partner cards that you can like, do you want the socialist newspaper, like the pro-capitalist newspaper you kind of flip around?
Yes.
And then the other one that comes to mind is, and this is just like Combat Commander, but also the Duel of Ages has like a little like resolution deck, like a fate deck. It's a randomizer that you use.
I don't know that game.
Oh, Duel of Ages is very funny. It's a good team game. It's like, what if Guards of Atlantis were like a sloppy Ameritrash game from the late 90s where, it's just, the game is chaotic and wonderful in all these amazing ways. But it's another team game. You draft teams and you go fight. But whenever you need to resolve anything randomly, you use this central deck of cards that will, it's used to kind of randomize every element. And it is so efficient that I just feel awesome. Like, this is a great multi-use card. In the most like, it's really just a randomizing deck. It's like, there's nothing fancy about it, but it is very well done.
Yeah. I thought about Pax Porfiriana. I thought about like, all the PAX games, like Transhumanity. There's some in Pamir too, right? Yeah.
The way the prizes work, when you tuck something behind.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like on the heavier Euro side, we got like Lisboa, and
I still have not played.
It's fantastic. But that has like a really cool multi-use card system. Zhangguo. Have you ever played Zhangguo?
I've not played Zhangguo.
Okay. It's another like Euro game where you have to kind of choose to use cards as like your engine, but they're also triggering actions, if I recall. We won't even get into like the TCGs like Flesh and Blood and all that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But that's a whole nother world. And then you have games like Brass.
Sure.
Brass has some multi-use card action. And then lots of these button shy games, these wallet games like Dragons of Etchinstone, games where what's one that I was just dabbling with? Palm Laboratory, which is, I think, the same designer as Palm Island.
Yeah, sure. I remember Palm Island.
Where it's like you basically are playing a game with the cards in the palm of one hand, and you're like rotating them to mean different things versus if you use it for something else. there's just a ton. There's
Yeah,
a ton
it's a great
to
design
talk
space.
about here. Yeah. Founding Fathers, War of the Ring. Oh, there are other ones that I was like
tons.
thinking of. Yeah. So I mean, we could talk about this stuff forever. I'm so glad again you played Guards of Atlantis too, and also that you're playing coin games regularly too.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's so funny because I really admire the series, but it's one of those things that if you have a group that wants to explore a genre, even if you're like even halfway interested in it, you just go for it, because the experience of exploring a game is going to be as good as the game itself.
Yes. Awesome. Well, Cole, it was great talking to you. I mean, I'm so excited about Buried Giant Studios and like what you guys are going to be doing, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. A busy year for you, but definitely looking forward to hearing more and seeing more about what you're working on, and also, my ARCS campaign and getting back into Oath.
You have to let me know how it goes, Candace. Well, this was a lot of fun for me. Thanks for gabbing out design and inviting me on.
For sure. You've been listening to the Kickin' It Creative podcast, produced and edited by Candace Harris. Special thanks to Matt Vonda for editing and mixing our music. Be sure to visit us on the web at kickinitcreative.com and on YouTube for even more Kickin' It Creative content crafted by Candace. Thanks for listening and happy gaming!